Back to Trends and Friends. Carla Olson with Parenting Cottage is joining me. Welcome, Carla. We're kind of seeing a lot of different things with parents. It's a whole new area kind of going on. What are y'all noticing, kind of some do's and don'ts for these kind of parents?
I think with the families that we're seeing, we're kind of looking at, as they're talking to us, the message that is emerging is what is missing. And so what's missing from families right now is that structure or that routine that they used to have within their family. So, kids went to school, parents went to work, and, you know, children, especially young children, they function better in that structured environment, and adults do too for the most part. So trying to redo that or restructure that family schedule, and for parents, trying to segregate if they're working from home, work from the family is can be really challenging and hard to do.
What are some ways to make sure they keep that structure going?
Well, I think for young children, especially the preschool or the younger ones that are in elementary school, they knew what to expect. They got up in the morning, they had breakfast, they went outside, they went to school, they had reading in the morning and all that. So whatever you can do to establish that routine or that structure again. So maybe it's getting them up at the same time every morning, or making sure that meals come at the same time every day, or and yeah, you have to be willing to recognize that if you're trying to work from home too, there's going to be some limitations or adjustments. So I know a lot of parents are like, well, we don't want our kids to have too much screen time or whatever. Well, if you've got a video conference, putting a movie in for the kids is not a bad thing, so you have to recognize that times are different right now. So maybe some of those limitations that you had in place, you may have to, let up on those a little bit. I know for younger kids too, the other things, some of these parents are about to pull their hair out because they've had these kids at home for 3 months or more. But, just a little reminder to those parents that, young children, they can become very frustrated or unsure, just like adults do. The difference is they often don't have the skills to verbalize or process those feelings. So they act it out. It comes out in their behavior. I know I've heard a couple of parents say, well, they just had this meltdown over something very little. And really, they didn't have the meltdown over something very little. They had the meltdown over whatever's happened the past 2 or 3 days. That was just the tipping point for that. So, I think that's important to remember. When you see them act out like that, that's maybe time for a pause and sit down and go, hey, what's going on here? What's, what are you afraid? Are you, another area that I think has come up is when you're asking older children or even teens, the junior high crowd, I need you to take care of your little brothers or sisters so, I can do this video conference or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, definitely it has to be a family effort. But then by the same token, you have to allow those older kids or those teens to have their own time where they're not responsible, for their younger siblings or whatever. So,
Well, thank you so much. I think that'll really help parents, and I appreciate you being here today.
you're welcome.
Well, more Trends and Friends after the break.